Welcome to the city of David. So here we are in the city of Jerusalem in the city of David Historical Archaeological Park. So we have two structures here that could potentially prove the existence of the city of David and the kingdom of King David. And what might prove that we might have found King David's palace. So let's take a look. So there's a reason why I'm at this view. So right there, we have some ancient terraces that date to the 11th century BCE, around the time of Judges. So they would date from when the city of Jerusalem would have been Jebusite. Right below it, see those pillars? That's a house from the 9th century BCE. It is a simple private dwelling, high-end. Here's a reconstruction of what it would have looked like. But what's interesting is what is sandwiched in between it. See the little steps there? I'm talking about something called the stone step structure. So why is the stone step structure such a big deal? Why is it so important? Well, here's why. For one, it's right in between the house of Azahel, as you can see right there, which is from the 9th century, and ancient stone terraces from the 11th century. So here we have the stone step structure right here. So if that's what it's in between, when does it date from? What's between the numbers 11 and 9? 10. These would date to the 10th century BCE, and that would make that contemporary with the kingdom of King David in Jerusalem. Also, what's also really special about that is that this is just not a simple structure. This was built clearly as the foundation for a large monumental building, however you cut it. I've heard there's some debate about maybe these lower ends, because they're smaller stones. And maybe it's from different phase that up here because it has bigger stones. That's what Finkelstein seems to think. I remember I was just on a tour with Doron, who's one of the famous archaeologists here, and he doesn't buy it. He says, no, they're from the same structures, no evidence structurally that they're distinct. They were built as a single common phase. Built common structure. So the question is, if it was built that time, then what was it supporting? And there are to be fair, there are multiple theories, but whether or not this structure was built closer to like the end of the 11th, like, okay, you built these terraces as foundations, but maybe it was built right after, but it's squarely roughly in the time when we would expect King David to have ruled Jerusalem. Shalom. Hey guys. Hey. Hey, making video. Hey. Some friends from my class. Hey. So, they're going to see Hezekiah's tunnel. I've already been there and I do not have my swimming trunks. I tried filming there once before, only with a flashlight and only with swimming trunks. So, this is an area that might be where the palace of David once stood. So there's some issues with that theory. So the evidence for David's palace is actually a lot stronger with the foundations. There is some evidence for it, but it is disputed. So a lot of these things see here have nothing to do with David. See these holes there? Those are from the time of King Herod the Great. They were built later. See that building over there? That's the mikvah, much later. That wall there, let me see if I can trace here. Yeah, see that little wall there? I'm tracing my finger. That's from the time of David, potentially. So here's where dispute comes. See that little hole there? That is, in that hole, it's called Locus 47, they found a bunch of pottery found by Lat Mazar, and she found a Cypriot pot from the 10th century BCE, from the time of King David. Proof of David's kingdom, right? Here's the problem. Okay, so I'm gonna go on a bit of a talk about how my least favorite biblical archaeologist of all time, Macalister, aka the guy who basically destroyed a chunk of archaeological evidence in his excavations for no good reason. He did it at Gezer. He essentially dug up a bunch of stuff, threw everything to the side, and didn't keep proper records. Here's the thing, he did it right exactly in this spot too. Alat Mazar had opened a previous excavation done by Macalister, and after Macalister was finished digging, he did not keep the records of where everything was found and just threw everything back in the hole. So, that piece of Cypriot pottery might be from the time of David, it might be from right here, but we don't know for sure. It may not even be from this area, this precise area. And we don't know where it is in relation to everything else here. Maybe it was dug up later and people kept it themselves. Maybe it's from a different structure. And they found this lovely Judite pillar replica right here, but maybe it's from a different period. Like this palace would have been used until the end of Jerusalem was destroyed by the Babylonians. So that's the question. That's the great question, the great mystery of the site. As it is,